Do you often wonder how things work? Do you wish you knew the answers to everything? That's what living inside my head is like, and I wonder if other people out there feel the same. For example, how come glass is clear if it's made with sand? How does the front door at work unlock just because I tap my pass on the keypad? How do swans know that they need to sit on their eggs for a month before they'll hatch? Who tells them? Why do people have good days and bad days, even if nothing obvious has changed? There always seems to be things around me that provide questions, but not answers, and my brain wants the answers. I do think that I have to accept that there are far too many questions than I'll ever have time to find answers to. But I am grateful to the internet because sometimes I can get enough information quite quickly to give me a little bit of peace. If I had more time, I'd probably be answering questions most of the day. But luckily, I do have other things that I need to be doing, so I can't constantly be trying to find the answers to every question that pops into my head. But that doesn't stop me wishing that I could. I wonder if anyone else is relating to this. Do you also not like having so many things that you don't have the answers to? I wonder what the questions are for you. There are plenty of things that I have looked up the answers for at some point or other, but haven't been able to retain the information, maybe because it's more technical than I could take on board. Things like, how do phones work, or how does the internet work? How does the TV remote control work? I don't like admitting to that one because it seems like a older person type of problem. But in some ways, I don't like admitting to any of them because I always feel a bit embarrassed about not knowing the answers to things. Maybe I've let myself down somehow, or have allowed myself to get left behind about things that other people all understand. And it feels a bit risky to start admitting to things that you don't know. But I decided it's best to be honest, and then I might be able to find out what the truth is for other people. Do you know the answers to all of those questions? And is it just me who hasn't quite kept up? And then there's other things that I do sort of know the answers to, but even with the answers, I still don't really understand. Like how a plane stays in the air. I know it's something to do with air pressure under the wing versus over the wing, but still, how does that make sense for keeping a huge plane in the air? Or how does a painkiller stop the pain? I know that it's something to do with blocking a signal somewhere so that you do still have the pain, you just won't feel it. But still, it seems a bit mysterious. And how come sometimes it does work and other times it doesn't? How do things get hot in a microwave? I know it's something to do with vibrating particles, but how does that make things hot? And why do some parts get hotter than others? How does a fridge work? I think that's something to do with taking heat away rather than putting cold in, but I'm not sure. Do I sound like an annoying toddler yet? I don't spend my life saying those things out loud, but I do have to put up with them in my head a lot of the time. So I'm taking the opportunity to let some of them out today to see what other people think. I wonder if you've got some other things that you can add to the list. I seem to be adding more things all the time, and often they're questions about being human, because those questions seem particularly tricky to answer. And if you've seen some of my previous videos, you might already know that the complexities of being human is one of my favourite subjects, and new questions keep coming to me all the time. Questions like, how does hair know when it's been cut and that it needs to grow back? Why do some people float in water and other people sink? And how does the placebo effect work? I know that it does because I had an example quite recently when I became quite convinced that I had an infection in one of my teeth, to the point where I really thought that it was hurting a lot of the time. So I went to the dentist and they did lots of scans and x-rays and showed me that everything looked fine. They showed me what an infection looks like and they showed me what mine looked like. And I could see that it was fine. And as soon as I had that appointment, the tooth stopped hurting. And it really bamboozled me that I could have fallen for something like that, and made me wonder if I can ever trust myself in the future if I think I have pain somewhere. It's very mysterious. So, is it okay to have all these questions and not be able to answer them? Should I just relax and not worry about it? I mean, asking whether I should stop doing it seems a bit of a silly question, really, because I know that I won't be able to. The questions bubble up on their own, and the reason for that is because I want to know the answers. I think I can sometimes get a bit immune to them because my brain fires so many questions at me that I can get used to ignoring them. But that doesn't make them go away, they just come back at another time. But maybe it would be more worrying not to have the questions, if we get used to not understanding or having the answers to lots of things in our lives, and not bothering to ask why or find out more. Does that encourage us to be helpless and to not take any responsibility for ourselves? Always thinking that someone else will sort it out or have the answers. And I think that's part of what motivates me. I don't want to not be able to look after myself, so I want to understand how everything works in case I need to step in. And of course there's no end to that, so the questions just keep coming until I'm an expert in everything, which is obviously never going to happen. I do also get some enjoyment out of it. I like complicated questions that aren't easy to answer, and I find them more fun than a simple question. So although the constant questions can get on my nerves at times, I wouldn't actually want them to all go away. But there's definitely a difference between a surface level understanding and a deep understanding. And maybe that's where we can draw the line between what might be useful to know and the deep understanding that might be part of a hobby or a passion or maybe a career. And I have quite a few subjects that are hobbies or passions, and for those subjects I have a different relationship with the questions. I enjoy spending the time studying to be able to answer the challenging questions, and I enjoy adding more questions to the list of things to study next. And the other things, I suppose, are more curiosities or maybe even insecurities that are part of a broader question about whether it's right or wrong to have things in your day-to-day life that you don't fully understand. For example, if phones or airplanes or the internet were hobbies or passions, then I probably would know those answers. And hopefully it doesn't really matter that I don't. I know enough at a surface level that I can use them, and maybe that's good enough, and I can leave the people who are passionate about them or have made careers around them to understand them more deeply. Do you agree? Do you feel comfortable with all the things that you don't know? Or do you not even think about it at all? I'd love to know whether any of this goes on in other people's heads. I mean, maybe in the past it might have been easier to have a deeper understanding of all the things in your life, but modern life is complex, so it's maybe important to be realistic about how many things it's possible to understand deeply. As long as you don't check out completely and don't even understand things at a surface level, then it probably represents a realistic compromise between being helpless and trying to understand everything. I don't like the idea of people becoming helpless and relying on other people or machines to do everything for them, including their thinking. So I'll carry on being curious about things and making sure I have at least a basic understanding of all the complex things in my life. And maybe this has given you something to think about too. I'll also carry on looking for a deeper understanding of the things that really interest me and try not to get the two things muddled up. And that should make sure that I'm giving my brain what it wants without that overwhelming feeling of there being so much more that I need to know. I think that sounds like a nice goal to aim for. So what do you think? Am I just overthinking again, or do you also have thoughts like that? Or would you like to find a better balance? I would love to know if you would like to leave a comment. So I hope you've found this video interesting or thought-provoking, and I appreciate you watching. So I hope to see you next time. Bye!